Hello, everyone. Very good evening, and thank you all for joining in today to our exclusive session for Fintech Aces, which is We Aces community for Fintech enthusiasts in association with DBS Tech India. So I'll just quickly take you all through the session flow today, which is, of course, I'll be handing it over to Neha in just a couple of minutes, and she'll be taking you through her session. Post which, if you have any questions or if you may have questions that you've already come up with, then I'd please urge you and request you to put them in the comment section, and we will request Neha to take them up in a bit. And without any further ado, because of course you're not here to listen to me speak, it's an honor to present Neha Misra, who is the CEO and co-founder of the FinLit project, a IIIT Delhi and STPI and incubated financial and fintech literacy platform. She has more than a decade of experience in technology and finance and has worked for corporates and startups in India and USA, including working at Wall Street, New York. Neha is passionate about fintech literacy and has worked with GBA, DMS IIT Delhi, Consensus, the Linux Foundation, NSE Academy, and other international organizations in the purpose of bridging the gap in the adoption of tech literacy through her programs. So once again, it's an absolute honor to present Neha Misra.
Thank you so much, Arnav, for, no, it's on. Like, it looks like we're sitting in the same room with the same virtual background, which is so adorable. Thank you so much, Arnav, for that really nice, warm and kind introduction. Hi, Samriddhi. Hi, Rashim. Please drop in your highs in the comment box to let us know where you are. And I really look forward to hosting this session for you. Retirement planning and financial technology. Both topics are very close to my heart. Financial technology is something which has intrigued me more so in the last about 3 to 4 years. I'm a technology turned finance professional. So initially, I used to think fintech is just me, with a background in technology and wanting to do something in finance. But there is so much more to financial technology, and the way these use cases are being built today is definitely putting India at the forefront of the fintech evolution, I would say. I remember in one of my earlier sessions about a year and a half ago, this was with Consensus, where the CMO of Consensus had joined us. And they talk about blockchain and all those elaborate technologies. And he said that, and we said, so me in the stream again. Okay. So I'm sorry about that. I went here to click on something. I clicked on NSE's website. So I actually got out of the session. So I was saying that we were talking about a year and a half ago when I was just like understanding what financial technology and all those things are. And Lex Sokolin, who is the chief marketing officer at Consensus, and we were actually talking about how we have so much to learn from the West in terms of financial technology and the evolution that has happened. And he said that, there's so much that the West can learn from us because the way Aadhaar has been implemented in a country like India, it's just fabulous. Or the way, I would say a technology which is Aadhaar stack or India stack, which is being launched today, it is definitely going to change the way people talk about finance, consume finance, and accept it as a way of life. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what finance is. I want to thank our coordinators from CIEL and Bombay Stock Exchange who are facilitating this program for us. I think Nikki is there from their side, and I'm really grateful to VAs and DBS for setting up this platform where we can talk about topics like financial technology, topics like retirement planning, topics like finance in general, because as a country, India stands, Anamika, do you know India is only 25% financially literate? Which is why it becomes my mission to talk about not just financial literacy, but also fintech literacy. So, what is fintech, or why do we need financial technology? And the problem is that you cannot understand, you cannot de-link the two. You cannot talk about fintech without finance or without technology. So, both these things come in at the very forefront of what finance is. Hi, Manvi. Hi, Anamika. Hi, Alka. And it is so important to understand how finance works in general. I was at the Digital India conclave earlier last month, where our Prime Minister talked about decade, how the next decade will be a decade. And in with due respect, technology is definitely going to come to the forefront, but we also have to talk about what finance is and how it is important to manage your own retirement. We don't live in a country today where retirement was something which typically most people thought is your children. Your retirement plan is your kids, so they will be the ones that take care of you. But today you have sophisticated tools, you have instruments that you need to utilize so as to have a comprehensive retirement plan. Since this presentation is also backed by BSE, I'm going to start with a little bit of an introduction about what finance is, and then take you on to the securities markets. Arnav, I would also request you to please put my presentation on the main screen. Yeah, that's perfect. So we'll talk a little bit about SEBI, what the regulator is, because in India you cannot do away with finance without SEBI. We'll talk a little bit about the different kind of markets that are there. We'll also talk about some of the prerequisites that you need for investing, your trading account, your DMAT account. And then I will talk about retirement planning today, which is provided to you by instruments that come from another regulator, which is PFRDA. We'll also talk about, what are the do's and don'ts, and then get into something which is more important about how you can build financial technology products on these comprehensive ideas, from wealth creation to retirement planning to succession planning to estate planning to the myriad of avenues that finance brings you. So let's begin. First and foremost, it's very important to understand that who are the richest people in the world? Who are some of these richest people in the world? Did you know who the richest people in the world are? No, you can't say. You can't say. Yeah. So these are some of the richest people in the world. And unfortunately, in India, people don't understand that finance is you can only get rich if you invest in other people's businesses. There's no way. If you keep working for the hours that you are working, then you will be comfortable. You will never become one of the top people in the world. The reason for that is equity, or the word equity that I use very often within finance, is a way of showcasing ownership. Now that could come through stocks, it could come through bonds, it could come through stocks, it could be investment in other asset classes, but you can only become rich if you invest in the right kind of products that are available and utilize them at every stage. So for example, if you start with a retirement planning product when you're much later in your age, or you start around 55 years of age, the corpus that you would need at that point in time for your retirement would be much higher than if you had to start today. I remember starting with financial investments or understanding fintech or utilizing some of these wealth creation apps or brokerage platforms that we have, from your Zerodhas to your Upstocks and other platforms, when I was 28 years of age. Until that time, I didn't know, yeah, till that time, I didn't know that one of the most important things with regards to finance is to start early. And if someone would have told me these things when I probably would have been at a younger age, or probably when I was in my 20s, or my maybe as soon as I became an adult, the amount of money or the amount of wealth that I would have created at that point in time would have been much, much more compared to when I started at 29 years of age. Now, it doesn't mean that if you have, not invested, or you have moved on from a certain space, the bus is gone. It's not like that. I always say that with finance, it's very, very important to understand that you start at soon as you realize that you have started. But as soon as you realize you have started, it is very, very important that you take action. I talk a lot about financial literacy on different forums, and when I talk about financial literacy, I often say that financial literacy is about financial attitude, financial behavior, and only then the financial capability or the ABC comes into the foray. Because if you do not understand finance, you will not understand financial technology. You will use your Google Pays and your Paytms to make those payments, but you will not be able to make the maximum use of it or leverage it for your own upliftment. Similarly, if you don't understand finance, you will not be able to embrace, hey Upasna, what are some of the pet peeves that you guys have had? Let me know in the comments around finance, around retirement planning, myths related to retirement planning or financial planning, and then around financial technologies. So we will talk about, wealth creation from a different perspective. So there's different products that are available in the market. All right. When there are different products that are available in the market, every product has a certain purpose. And it's very important that you choose the right product for each purpose, which implies that if you want to go for long term wealth creation, then you have to understand that equity mutual funds, for example, is the right way to go. If you are investing in a pension product, then your national pension system or the provisions of pension funds which are brought to you by private organizations is what is going to help you reach that goal. So, with that in mind, it is also important to understand the overall structure of your securities markets. How does it work? Who are the different regulatory bodies that are involved with reference to that? Because that is something no one will come and tell you, and it will remain a myth till that point where you say that, okay, I understand what the relative, what are the different bodies. Now, why I talk about, these different sources of wealth for these different people, the reason for that is one thing is ownership of their businesses. You own something like a house. A lot of people typically, what are some of the common investments that you have or products for retirement? Yeah. Oh, wonderful, Sadia. That's a great comment. I feel my income is not, that's a myth. I always feel that one of the biggest myth people have is um, there's a simple formula I use very often when I tell people that typically how people invest is income minus expenses is equal to your investments or your retirement product, Sadia. Whereas it should be the other way around. It should be income minus the money that you set aside for retirement planning or the money that you set aside for investment planning. And on the basis of that, you spend your money. If income is not high enough, we have to look at other avenues of generating passive income. So there are two things. One is known as active income, and the other is known as passive income. And which is why I'm telling you that most people think that buying shares, for example, is a gamble or NPS is a bad product. How many of you are familiar with the national pension system? Anyone here who is aware of the national pension system or is familiar with the national pension system? Or let's say pension funds or using mutual funds for wealth creation. Anyone who is familiar with those? See, the only way to generate passive income is you have to start owning something that is somebody else's. Okay. And when you start owning something that is somebody else's, you are either putting aside money for retirement through a pension fund, where the pension fund is saying, I'm going to take care of you, or you're putting aside money through a mutual fund, where that mutual fund is saying that, I'm going to put aside money for your age, right? So, Jay, how can one avoid disturbing retirement savings? So that's something which is, unfortunately, there are emergencies from time to time where we have to utilize, the money that has come in. When you talk about NPS, NPS allows you to withdraw 25% of the amount that you have put in after 3 years that you have put in. Right, Jay? The problem happens is when people don't have the right buckets. All right, Bipul. So, for example, if you have put aside some money for retirement, and that is why NPS or PPF or your EPFs are structured in such a way that you cannot take out that money at least for 15 years, because that's the minimum amount of time that someone would need for a retirement product. All right. Similarly, you have to classify. So, one of the things we often talk about is goal. Goal planning is actually one of the most underrated but most effective ways of saying that, okay, I am not going to dip into my retirement savings. Let me put it in a product where I cannot withdraw it. Let me put it in a PPF if I am a risk averse individual. If I am not a risk averse individual, I want to try a dabbling of equity. Why don't I try the national pension system and choose one of the products that are given there? The NPS provides you options to put 75% in equity. Somewhere they give you an option to put 50% in equity. Some places they give you an option to put maybe 50, 25% only in equity. But Jay, to answer your question, it has to be in a place where you cannot withdraw more than 25% of the amount you put. There will be emergencies, which is why creating an emergency fund is as important as creating a retirement savings fund. And just to give you an idea, Jayam, um, retirement fund, or sorry, the emergency fund should be equal to at least 12 to 24 months of your expenses. That's how your retirement fund should look like. Sorry, emergency fund should look like. So you have to put it into different buckets. You say, this is my retirement plan. This is my, um, you know, short term or holiday, or, I'm going to travel to Greece next year. This is my that fund. And this is for my kids' education. So that's how you segregate it, and that's how you decide which product to sort of utilize. Okay. But let me tell you, and to answer, I think one of the ladies earlier was saying, Sadia was saying, it's difficult. It is difficult, but I think if you change your mindset, you have to start with an amount that you usually spend over eating outside with your friends or family. If you can start with that 1,000 rupees or 2,000 rupees that you normally once a month say, chalo aaj kahin bahar kha aate hain, that will be the difference. That will be the difference. I'm telling you, Nisha. So you can keep asking me your questions. I will move on with the presentation and we'll talk about, let's think that a chessboard is a company. It has 64 squares. Let's talk about each square on the chessboard being a share. If each square is worth 1 rupee, the value of the company is 64. So how can you sort of, what would be the money you would need to buy 50% of the company? Yeah, yes, definitely, Manvi. That's a great question. Manvi is asking. So I'll just answer. If you had to own 50% of the company, how much money would you need? Yes, fintech has become, very much Manvi to maybe Arnav, you can spotlight Manvi's question here. Yeah. No, Dipali, I have a presentation. And I've put on lipstick for the session so you can see me as well. So fintech has become very much a part of the whole concept of ease of access. Traditionally, you had to go to a bank. Even if you had to invest in something, you had to go into a bank and deal with the pension fund manager there, or deal with someone who will say, अरे अरे हम आपको ये product दिखा देते हैं, आप ये खरीद लीजिए. Today, with the advent of something within the fintech space which is known as a neobank, you can do it sitting in your house. Earlier, people had to go out to a proper SEBI, registered broker's office to buy or sell shares, or they had to call somebody over the phone and say, "This is the trade I want to place." Today, fintech has penetrated to that level where it is prevalent everywhere. So when I say fintech, I talk about, there are 6, 7 branches of that fintech, Manvi, just to give you an idea. And I'm going to give you an example of fintech, which is solving retirement planning. I don't have any association with them, but just to tell you guys. First is wealth management. That is one very easy use case that fintech has these days. Second is payments. Google Pay, Paytm, these are all doing payments. Third is P2P lending or giving loans. Today, I mean, actually, RBI had to step in, Manvi, and provide that, pause to say not everyone can start lending money, but a fintech which at the back has a backing of a bank can provide you that access to, uh, you know, these myriad opportunities to avail a loan. And this is, they do check your CIBIL score, but sometimes earlier, if you had to go walk into a bank and you did not have a decent CIBIL TransUnion score, they would not give you a loan. But today with fintech, lending has become easier. Now, retirement planning was a very cumbersome process all these years. You had to go to the NSDL office or, whichever office was handling your pension corpus, and it was manual paperwork. Today, NPS, Protein or NSDL is what it is called. NSDL, which is one of the depositories in India, has rebranded itself to Protein. Protein provides that nice interface app where you can open an NPS account, and I would definitely recommend that you can try it out. You can open a tier 1 account, you can open a tier 2 account. There are private players which are called Pension B. One is called Pension B, and there's one more. I think Pension B is with, if I'm not wrong, they are part of the UPS Dehradun, cohort. And there's one more, Pension Karo or something. Pension B, I know for sure, which provides you that option to start doing retirement planning from an app, which is they are not doing anything. They are doing the same paperwork at the background which was being done earlier. But they give you a nice fancy UI. They give you ease of, if something goes wrong, then you can do it with somebody. We are there to support you. It's not like you are running to the NSDL office when no one is listening to you. Yes. It is possible to outsource that, Shambhavi. It is, today you have your retirement planners. For example, I am a retirement planner with PFRDA. You have that option where you can outsource it, but whenever you are outsourcing it, try to understand at least the basics of it, because otherwise, what happens is that you will be, they'll be doing something, but whether it meets your goal or not, only you can tell. So this is, something my son has actually learned, this adage that I keep saying, and he keeps laughing at it. And I say that money is like your second baby or your third baby. Just like you have to take care of your money, even if you're using a fintech, for example, I use, and this is not, for example, I use Zerodha for investments. Okay. And I use, NSDL for my retirement planning. Every 24 hours or every time I do a trade or every time I invest that money, they have the obligation to inform me that yes, you have done this. So that two-way communication should be there. Yes. Yes, Anamika, fintechs do help you with your education loans. I'm going to tell you about a startup, fintech startup, which is part of Software Technology Parks of India. If you're looking for college education, you remember there was this platform called Campus Dunia. So Campus Dunia today focuses only on education loans. They provide education loans, and you can connect me. I'm going to give my coordinates after this session. After the session to help you with, some of these aspects around availing a loan through a fintech, how to do that. Now, also being careful because when every time something good happens, There's a lot of bad players as well. Okay, so which fintech? Don't take it from something where they're only asking you for, or the interest rate is too high, or they're troubling you. So that is something very, very important to just figure out. Samriddhi is asking me, could you give me some examples of passive incomes that I talked about? Samriddhi, active income is something, it's a great question, Samriddhi. Active income is something where I'm working hard, that's why I'm getting money. Okay. So if I don't go to office or if I resign, my income will stop. Passive income is where you put in that money and it will continue to generate returns for you even if you're not involved in the day-to-day functioning. Some examples of passive income include, the dividend that you get from the shares that you have invested in. All right, that's one example. Another example of passive income is a lot of people today are into startup investments. So if that startup grows, the income that you get or the capital appreciation that you get is another way of looking at passive incomes. So I remember when I was doing this program from IIM Bangalore, one of my professors said, and this is for every business and each individual as well, if you have only one revenue stream for a business, if you have only one revenue stream, just like if you have only one income stream, the day you are not doing well or the day you are ill, you don't have any money which is coming in. Okay. So, which is why you need to diversify. Put your money, for example, in a fixed income bond. Samriddhi, there are platforms today like Wintwealth. Wintwealth is another fintech backed by I think Rain Matter, which provides you these senior secured bonds for as less as 10,000 rupees and you get 10% return on it. It's different compared to how it used to be so many years ago, if you remember, because the other day my mother-in-law actually pulled out a fixed deposit and we were seeing it was a physical fixed deposit and we were actually seeing interest rates 10 years ago were 10% on fixed deposits, but today they are not. So today you have to become smarter. You have to say, okay, if I'm not getting my returns from here, what are some of the other ways for me to make more money? My fixed deposit is not giving me as much return. So why don't I diversify? And when you diversify, that's when you start getting your passive incomes. All right. So thank you so much for that question. So just like with a checkerboard, if you had to own 50% of a company, you would have to put in 32 rupees. As the company's sales would increase, as the company's reputation increases, as the company's profit increases, the share price increases. Similarly, when you put your money in a pension fund typically puts that money into these three baskets. One is equity. Another passive income is rent, but rent is not a great passive income these days because most real estate sectors are not doing too well. So, some of these avenues for investments, which can then become your retirement corpus, is your real estate investment trust, is something which is known as an InvIT or infrastructure investment trust, is something which is known as a commercial paper, is something which is known as a corporate bond. And today you have fintechs who are solving all of these. So if you had to buy bonds, you can go to goldenpie.com. If you had to buy mutual funds, you can go to a platform that sells mutual funds. If you had to plan for retirement, you can go to one of these fintech products. But first, you have to understand what is retirement planning. Why do I need retirement planning? So, if I want to continue working till 70 years of age, which is fine, I want to continue working till 75 years of age, which is fine. But after that, there will come a point where I will not be as efficient as I am today. So when my efficiency comes down, and if you have not diversified early in life across your equity, debt, all these asset classes, there will come a time where you will only be dependent on, whatever was in your savings. And today's savings account give us 2% and fixed deposit give around 5% or something, 5.5%. As interest rates are increasing, you have to say, okay, first figure out what your risk profile is, but also understand that it's important to plan for retirement and you cannot plan for retirement when you are in retirement. So, for example, I keep telling this to people. All right. And this is again around shares, because I feel that shares do give you one of the benefits around retirement planning. But to take you away from the from shares, but a different example is, there is two aspects. One is years to retirement. So those are the years you are in right now. And one is years in retirement. So say supposing you have 30 years to your retirement, and post those 30 years of retirement, you will have, let's say, 15 to 20 years that you will be in retirement. What would be your goals at that point in time? So the amount of money that you had to put in a share, for example, depends on those goals. Because only then, if it continues to grow at a CAGR of 12 to 15%, CAGR, by the way, is a comprehensive way of looking at what your returns will be. Okay. So this talks about shares, but just to give you an idea, in the financial markets, there's not just one player, there are many players. Pension fund is one of those players. Also, being cognizant of the fact that if I have put my money in a pension fund, is that pension fund actually putting the money where they had committed me to? So, if I have chosen, for example, and I'm not able to type over here in the comment chat, yeah, how can fintech tools? Oh, wow, these are such great questions. I'll take one of these questions. So, I'll take Alka's first. Which so many fintechs coming up, how do you identify trustworthy ones? Number one is depending on the area. So if it is a wealth management fintech, you have to see if they are affiliated to the regulator, which is why this presentation is brought to you by BSE and SEBI, because SEBI takes care of most of these financial products. You also have, and all the even the pension funds go and report to SEBI. You also have on the other side some financial technology, which will be focused on brokerages, which will give you a platform to trade. Okay. You have to see whether they have the necessary licenses or not. And you can go to their website, scroll down, see if it is a pension product, does it have any affiliation with PFRDA? If not, they will have with a body which is associated with PFRDA. So one of the fact checks to do is check their regulatory and compliance aspects before putting your money into it. Second thing is, all fintechs today will tell you to do an eKYC. If money is involved, you cannot work without an eKYC. You cannot work without a FATCA, you know. So those two things, if the fintech is not asking you, just telling you, put the money in, please don't trust it. Please don't trust it. Right? Now, Jyoti is asking me a very nice, I hope that answers your question, Alka. So Jyoti is asking me, how can fintech tools assist me in tax planning? That's a great question, Jyoti. Now, tax planning is done in two ways. You have your old tax regime and you have your new tax regime. There's one startup which was with us in STPI again, which is called Mool. Now, Mool helps you with tax planning with reference to the old tax regime. Okay. So what they will help you is, or even a normal fintech, which is providing you all these financial products, will guide you, So if the tax, at the beginning of, again, tax planning has to be done at the beginning of the year, not when your ITR is being filed in July. That's not the best time to do tax planning. Tax planning has to be done in April. Okay. So there are two components to it. One is that you have to make sure that if you are doing according to the old tax regimes, that you are putting in those little buckets of ATC, retirement planning. And I'm talking about retirement planning, Jyoti, because it has a great connotation for tax planning. NPS is the only instrument that gives you 50,000 rupees extra benefit for tax planning under section 80 CCD1. There is no other financial instrument that does that. Okay. So make sure that if they are recommending, and the reason why you put your money in an NPS is that it will give you that tax benefit. Okay. Additionally, that fintech should guide you with regards to choosing the correct equity linked saving scheme for your ATC. All right. So That's very, very important. All right. Now, another important thing is that they do guide you, but Jyoti, if you're not very familiar with the fintechs, the easy way to do is go on and the reliable way, another reliable way is to go on the income tax website, and they have a fabulous calculator. They have a very good calculator. Okay. So you put in all your details and see what are the areas where you can invest some money. Okay, and then save tax. And the reason why we are talking about secondary market is when you invest in stocks, in a way, rather than compared to say putting it in a fixed deposit, which doesn't give you any, tax rebate, your taxation on your shares, even if money, grows over a period of time, your long term capital gains is 10%. So if you are in your 30% tax bracket and you put that money into something like this, then what happens in that case is your effective, the tax that you would pay if that money was sitting in a fixed deposit would be lower compared to if you put it in a share. Okay. Second thing is, again, with regards to tax planning, is please don't Google best ELSS funds in India. That's not the right way to do tax planning. Okay. I know, like, really good friends working in very good companies. It's very, very important for you to understand that tax planning or financial instruments should not be purchased simply by Google. While Google is a good way to provide you some of these, avenues, you should be in a position to be able to judge these things. So if it's coming ranked one on Google, it the probability is that he's paid for that Google ad. Okay, so that is another challenge. Mahendra Babu Kotanan is asking, as a beginner, how do I learn about these tools before I start investing in them? Great question, Mahendra Babu. We have our own app where people can learn about different avenues of finance, and I will ask the VA's team to share it with you. I'm going to put it over here. But you also have these programs which are brought for free for by Bombay Stock Exchange, SEBI, which they keep running from time to time. But if you want to do it on your own, I've put the link to our app, or our website is called thefinletproject.com. You can download the app and start learning about stock markets, crypto. Why not to do crypto, by the way? Yeah, don't do crypto, please. Please don't do crypto. But why not to do, or what is forex, or what are mutual funds, what is, we also have a great micro course which is free, which is on retirement planning. So and very soon we'll be adding more investment products also to our app, so you can download the app if you are on, it's available on both platforms. We're on iOS as well as these places, so you can utilize that, or you can come and you stay in touch with VAs. We will be organizing more sessions around these markets, so you can absolutely feel free to come and learn from us. Okay. So I took Anamika's question. I took Bipul has a great question. How do I invest in a startup? How you invest in a startup is today you can do using again a fintech products which allow you to invest. There are other ways, there are larger ways to invest in startup, but today you can invest in startups using platforms like Grip Invest, using platforms like Tyke, which allow you to invest in startups through something which is known as amount as low as 5,000 rupees. Okay, but startup investment is risky, so go through all those things. Talk to a financial advisor. Please talk to a. There is nothing. It's like if you are trying to do everything on your own, sometimes it's more about I would say So if you don't know all these things, get start talking to someone who can guide you. Okay, so if this is an IPO, a lot of people lost money, Mahendra Babu. You would not believe, in the Paytm IPO. So I'm not saying if there's a company, there's a problem with that. The problem is that people, or the LIC IPO, the problem is that people don't understand what is an IPO. When they don't understand IPO, And I remember in one of my retirement planning sessions with, this was with NSDL and CIEL again, one of the gentlemen asked me, so I have bought an LIC pension fund, and that LIC pension fund, I think the LIC shares went down because the IPO failed, or the IPO didn't do too well. So is my pension money gone? They actually asked me that. Yeah. And I actually ended up telling them that, what you have to understand is that LIC pension fund doesn't put all the money in an LIC share. It's just one part. So that LIC IPO was just one tiny fragment of an offer for sale for shares which the government was offloading to the general public. All right. So that again is not necessarily that doesn't mean that all your money went into the LIC shares. And again, if it is a retirement product, you have to choose a good product, evaluate it with your financial advisor from time to time, and please, just like you don't leave your child in the house and lock it and go, you also have to come back and say that keep looking at it. Where is the money? Has it appreciated? Has it not appreciated? But don't do it too frequently. If you start doing it on a daily basis, then it becomes too cumbersome. But understand what is an IPO, what are the different kinds of issues. So if the pension fund is talking about these things, because anyway pension fund is going to take your money and will put it into some place, no? Most of the times they put in all these instruments which are available in the financial markets. Okay. When they put it in all these instruments which are available in the financial markets, and you don't know, you don't understand, there comes the challenge. Okay. So if I had to ask you a question, who regulates the capital markets in India? Who is the regulator? Jay, that's a great question. Jay Desai, that's a great question. What do you think? I'll take that because my interest is financial technology, blockchain, all those things. We also run a fintech and blockchain program, but it's usually done in collaboration with some colleges from time to time. Yeah, yeah, I will take that question. That's a great question. But I wanted to ask everyone who is in the session here. I can't see all the participants, but all those people who are here, do you think the capital markets should be regulated? Yeah. So SEBI regulates. Who regulates the pension market in India? Who is the regulator for the pension market in India? No, 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 Dr. Chitra, that's not SEBI. For the pension market, for the retirement planning, retirement products are regulated by. I'm going to put it over here. It's called the Pension Fund Regulatory Development Authority. We are actually going to be doing a session with Cognizant on the 7th of this month with the PFRDA chairman who will be joining us for that. But PFRDA actually regulates the pension fund. No, no, not IRDA. Rajkumar, yeah. IRDA regulates your okay, so another question. Who regulates the insurance market in India? Who is the regulator for the insurance market in India? I just wanted to put in the PFRDA website as well for the retirement planning aspect. Yeah, so VAs can put it out there. Yeah, IRDA. It used to be called IRDA, but today it's called IRDAI. IRDAI regulates the insurance market in India. So every time, so for example, another use case for fintech is insurances. You have like companies like Bima Plan, you have companies like Ditto, you have companies like, I'm putting it in the chat box here so it can be posted over there. These companies provide insurances. They are a fintech product. So you have to see, are they regulated? Or another great one that we are collaborating with is called Plum. Plum is a great platform for insurance and they are licensed with IRDAI. So you have to check whether that particular financial technology product has a particular license. Do they not have a license? Are they affiliated in some capacity with the regulator? Okay, before you jump into all these things. If it's a mutual fund, you know, and lot of times actually होता क्या है इंडिया में ज्यादातर लोग पेंशन के नाम पे ना पेंशन होने रिटायरमेंट के बाद रिटायरमेंट का पैसा इक्विटी मार्केट्स में लगा देते हैं, बट दैट्स रॉन्ग. इक्विटी मार्केट्स में लगाने का टाइम है व्हेन यू आर इन योर ईयर्स टू रिटायरमेंट. ओके, yeah, not at your after your all those years have passed, not at that point in time. When you are not in your years to retirement, that is when you have to plan for these things. Okay, so if it is a mutual fund distributor platform, you have to see what is their MFD code, what is the mutual fund distributory code that they have, and start at that point where you start understanding at least these basics about all these different regulators. Okay, whether it is financial technology, whether it is, so SEBI from time to time, SEBI actually has a great, I'll tell you something, for fintech innovation. They have something which is known as an innovation sandbox. If someone here is wanting to build a financial technology product which is focused on a use case that SEBI sort of relates with, you should definitely check out the innovation sandbox. They recently held something which is known as Manthan, where they actually put out these things and said that if you have a product that can help people understand financial markets, then why don't we create an environment where it is possible. Okay, so that is something which is very very important for you to understand in terms of picking which financial product, through whom. Oh, actually, just yesterday I got an email, and I'm happy to share this if it's not already circulating on YouTube. But I don't know how to add. Can I add, like, documents here? But if not, I'm just going to tell you. So RBI yesterday has come up with Raju and 40 Thieves. They've come up with a comic strip on financial frauds in the form of a booklet which is called Raju and 40 Thieves. Okay. Now, one thing which is don't do, one of the don't do is the largest problem is if you use unauthorized service providers. Okay. If you use an unauthorized service provider and you end up getting into a fraud area or a fraudulent area where it's some sort of algo trading which is not being regulated, then you are in for a problem. Yeah. So most of these things, as a younger crowd, we are aware of. Okay, don't give your number. There's things like Jamtara. Someone would want to do financial fraud. Someone would, please don't share your passwords. Or why KYC is important, and which is why I'm saying if it is an authentic, fintech, they will have a proper KYC process. If you are not doing a proper KYC and someone is just asking you to put in money, that's your warning signal. That's the time you have to say, ki, "Nay, boss, this is not working. This doesn't seem like the right product." Okay. So that is something that you have to be very, very careful. Whatever your, one of the things that is very important to know is every instrument has some tools, just like you need a car to start driving, or you need a scooter to start driving. Okay. Or if you're going long distance, then, within the city, you need a metro. Everything needs a vehicle that can facilitate that. And fintech is that vehicle that facilitates something. Okay. Whether it is, that fintech is providing retirement plan, that has to facilitate that. The infrastructure that it will give you within a little app. It's what fintech is something that you can, solve using your app. If you can solve a particular problem using that particular app, then you're in the right game. If it is not solving the problem, it is asking you again and again for money, that's your warning signal. Okay. So for a fintech that helps you do wealth management, or to invest in the securities markets, will make you open a demat account. All right. And the second account that you would need would be your trading account. Okay. A fintech that is facilitating retirement plan will make you open an NPS tier 1 account. Okay. I'm going to type this here. Tier 1 account. It will make you open that Because without a NPS tier 1, you cannot do retirement planning, at least in the national pension system. So if it is not doing that, because at the end of the day, they become the custodian of your money. Some of the things that you need to use, and again, I was talking about this at the beginning of the session when I said that Lex was saying, some of the things that are there in India. In fact, the open stack, or OCEN, OCEN, open network for collaboration, and your for logistics you have another one which is called ULIP. They provide you this unified interface where if you want to build a fintech, it's very easy. But few things that you have to be cognizant of is, okay, so that my PAN is not getting misused. The bank account, if it's a neobank is another type of fintech. It's another name for an app that provides you banking facilities. It is either a bank itself, or they have tied up with a bank. So they have a collaboration. So make sure that for a neobank, the collaboration is with a legit bank. Okay, that collaboration is not with some random bank which is, it's going to disappear with your money tomorrow. Okay, so just make sure that that authenticity is there. If the authenticity is there, then you're absolutely good. Then you're good to go. Then it's not a problem. The problem happens when there is no authenticity. You're dealing with someone which is, I would say, how we say today is the वो जो in Jamtara or something on Money Mafia or something, where somewhere I was seeing, is if you're dealing with someone who is not authorized to do that. The problem happens if you authorize someone, you give them power of attorney, and they're not even in the right place doing the right thing. So that's something that you have to take cognizance of. Someone is actually asking me about NFTs, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that as well. Before that, basic rules is that you have to look at some of these things. If it's a if it's for retirement, is it a pension product? If it is a pension product, is it putting my money in, let's say, something that will give me long term returns? So with retirement planning and fintech, it's very, very important that you have to look at long term capital appreciation. Okay, and that long term capital appreciation, typically in a country like India, cannot happen without equity. So when I say equity, it implies you're putting your money in a company's shares. Whether you're doing it through your NPS, whether you are doing it directly through a mutual fund, whether you are doing it through, again, your PPF as one of the public provident funds does not tell you to put that money in a company's share. It continues to give you. So, what is the rate of return on a PPF? If someone can tell me. Yeah, what is the rate of return on a PPF instrument? What is it? Today, how much return does PPF give you, which is what used to be a typical retirement product? How scenarios have changed. I remember when my mother had opened her PPF account about so many years ago, maybe nearly 20 years ago, it used to give somewhere around 14%. But today it doesn't. Today it doesn't. Today the returns it gives you are somewhere around, oh no, Tejana, it is not. I wish it was 8.5, but Dr. Chitra is right, it's 7.1%. And what is inflation? Yeah, what is inflation? What is inflation today? What is the value of inflation today? Inflation implies the rate at which the purchasing power of money is reducing. Tejana, it's not 8.5%. No, Mahendra Babu. Yeah. Your PPF is giving you 7.1%. No, it's not less than 6, Rajkumari. It's somewhere around nearly about 6.7 or about 7%. No, Bipul, I wish it was 4. I really wish it was 4, but it's not. So that's the problem. So because of that reason, it's so if your rate of returns, Dr. Chitra, like she said, is the same as your inflation, your money is not growing. It's not growing. It's just growing, but everything is just getting expensive at the same rate. Oh, it's not less than 6. No, Rajkumar, it's not about less than 6. Last I knew was CPI was somewhere around 6.7% or something. Okay. I wish it is that. I wish it is what Bipul said, 4. That would be perfect. But that's not what it is. And which is why we have to understand that if we are putting our money in PPF, it is growing, but it is not growing at a rate where it can beat inflation. Which is why I need to try out other avenues, which is why I need to look at my retirement products like pension products and, mutual funds and those kind of things. Okay. Now, is it risky to do this on your own? Of course, it's risky to do this on your own. You need help. It's just like you. It's just like googling a disease and start eating medicine. The other day, one of my friends called and said, "No, I think I have this disease because I googled the symptoms." Yeah, actually, you're losing money if you're putting it in the banks. We are actually at that stage where if your money is sitting in a bank, which is why fintech has grown, which is why your platforms, Covera, you will not believe Covera is a fintech, and I'm putting the name here so that you can, as a fintech, it has assets of 14,000 crores. It's a mutual fund distribution platform. Okay, but has assets of it. So the reason is people are realizing, and this is data from SEBI, which said that nearly there are 3 crore demat accounts in our country. Okay, and those 3 crore demat accounts, you will not believe, is only 2% of our entire population. It's only 2% of our entire population. Okay. So it's very, very important for you to understand that if only 2% of us are investing in the market and are planning for our future, what will happen when we are actually there? When we are actually there, we will be in a position where, जिसको कहते हैं चादर छोटी होती जा रही है. Okay. चादरें छोटी होती चली जा रही है. Okay. So you have to understand that your chadar continues to grow as you are growing in age, because only then will you be able to have that wiggle room for retirement, or do things that you love. And this is one gentleman I really, really admire. And this is one book that is written on that gentleman, and I'm going to share it. It's called The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. And Dr. Richa, I'm going to recommend it to, I think, Dr. Chitra. It's called The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. And Naval Ravikant is an angel investor in the US who's invested. His investments include your Angel List. He's the founder of Angel List. He's invested in a lot of these companies. And in that book, it talks so much about wealth creation, retirement, doing things that you love. But you can do things that you love at retirement using tools which fintech provides only when you have sufficient money to take care of those things. Okay. So that is something which is very, very important. And don't be afraid to seek professional help. Do your due diligence, because due diligence, again, as a process, is so underrated. It's like going on a highway with your eyes shut. So if your eyes are shut, then you're actually not making money. If your eyes are shut, you're going to hit a pole. If your eyes are shut, you don't understand what is NPS. So this one gentleman actually actually had a very interesting case study for pension and retirement. He said, Rajkumar, you'll not believe, he said that I had a relative who had NPS that they had opted for, and unfortunately they passed away. And after he passed away, his wife did not get any money. So I said, okay, so in the documentation that was done at the time of filing for NPS, did he select that option that if I die, and there's an option, NPS actually has one of those options where you have to select explicitly that if I had to die, then my family will get money or my wife will get money. All right. So you have to do that due diligence. You have to understand these past performances. You have to, if it is a fintech, again, the challenge is, whether it is you, if you're going to someone who is managing this, seek help of a SEBI registered investment advisor. Seek help of a SEBI registered investment advisor, A SEBI registered investment advisor is someone who will guide you, who will help you with products to use, and please don't refrain from paying his fees. Yeah, no, Rajkumar, nomination is one part, but documentation you have to explicitly check. There's two options. One is till your lifetime, and the other is lifetime plus spouse. So you have to check that part. Okay. So one of the problems is that people do pay doctors their fee, but when an investment planner says that I need fees, you don't want to pay. So that's the problem. That's the problem. Don't be shy to pay someone some money if they are taking care of your business. If it's a stockbroker, is it a SEBI registered stockbroker? If it is an insurance product, yeah, please do check that. And if you have any questions with regards to your retirement plan, you can reach out to VAs and VAs will help you connect with me. I'm a retirement planner with PFRDA. So they will help you with that. And I'm also with SEBI and Bombay Stock Exchange in different capacities. So we can probably, if I won't be able to do it myself, I will definitely help you with connect with someone who is an expert at what they do. So please don't be afraid to take this professional help and just embrace, I would say, finance as a way of life. Take some ideas to build some of these fabulous products yourselves. Someone is looking for assistance around fintech development, so we do that as well. So on the app you can learn more about fintech. You can do a quiz, it's gamified. You can do a quiz on retirement planning, which will help you understand the different life cycles of retirement planning. One is known as your accumulation phase, which is now, and the other is known as your distribution phase, which is later. Okay. So it's very important that you look at both those things. And when you look at both those things, that's when your retirement planning, and if you can see, it talks about you have to plan today for a happy tomorrow. You can go through the course which will teach you different how do you estimate the retirement corpus. And please, everything is free on the app. Nothing is paid for, everything is unbiased. There is no charge that is involved. So you can go through that retirement planning course. It's very short, it's just 15-20 minutes, but at least have that mindset to take that. Yeah, with a time horizon of 1 year, Bipul Singh ji, I would suggest please don't invest in the stock market. Anything in the stock market has to be for a time frame of 3 years and more. Anyone, and by the way, this is a red flag. If someone is telling you कि मैं 1 साल में तुम्हारा retirement वो कर दूंगा, then they are fooling you. Tejana, the app is called the Finlit Project. I'm sharing the link for that. We are live on both platforms. We are on iOS as well as I would request the VAs team to please share it. And VAs as a community organizes a lot of these programs, and they have a community link as well. So Shiv Ranjani, can you please share that with your audience, your community link where they can come and join the community and they can learn more about the community, if that's possible. Yeah. Just share these. Yes. This is where you can check out more. Yeah. And VAs, you can also share the link to your fintech community, which someone can join if they want, apart from your own office and or your own internal people. So just, I think again, reiterating or coming back to financial technology, NFT was something somebody had asked me. I will take that question. So Arnav, do you want to come in the screen? I can, yeah. Do you want to come on the forefront, Arnav, from VAs?
Absolutely, Neha.
Yeah,
If you want to take up that last question about NFTs, and then we
I
can.
do. I do. I would love to take that. NFT is a non-fungible token. For those of you who don't understand what is NFT, it is a type of, I would say, art that is available in a digital form. You can purchase NFTs from a platform which is called Rarible, Raribl. Okay. Now, just like people buy paintings, which appreciate over time, Okay, they do, and you can put it in your tax statement. It is allowed. You can buy NFTs, but look at it only as something which you hope will appreciate in time. Because if the paint on a painting, if water falls, then it's lost its value. So NFT is like a digital art which appreciates. It's not a pure investment product. It's a side investment product. And if you're buying Amitabh Bachchan's, then I hope it will escalate in time. But typically not the first go-to investment product, I would say, for me. Go to is first plan for first is term insurance. Do a term insurance. Do your investments. Third is do your retirement planning. That's very important. Go through that life cycle of the retirement completely. Just understand that part and use these technology products that are available to you after ascertaining the integrity of the platform and the product. Don't go with anyone who's claiming to be. You can go to the SEBI website or the PFRDA website to see who are these people who are. My name is there. You can go and check it out like that. So only then utilize it. Zerodha's name is there. So just don't engage with anyone who is not registered. Over to you, Arnav. I had a great time interacting with everyone and learning more about your backgrounds and learning from your questions. I'm happy to take any questions if you have, and otherwise over to Arnav.
Great. Thank you so much, Neha. This was absolutely brilliant, this session. And if any of you have any other questions for Neha, we'd encourage you to send them to us. Feel free to reach out to us. The team has just put the link to join our FinTech community also. So you can reach out to us there and we'll connect you to Neha and take it up accordingly. Once again, I'd love to thank Neha, Neha and the Finlit project. Thanks to BSC and SEBI. And this has just been an amazing session. Looking forward to many more like these in the future. We'll certainly notify you of whenever the next one is planned. Thank you so much, Neha. I think you're on mute, Neha.
Yeah, I'm on mute. Yeah. Thank you so much. Do join the VA's community. Thank you, CIEL, for organizing this session. And thank you, Nikki, for being there. And please share more data. And I look forward to being back hosting a physical session with you soon in September.
Absolutely. Thank you all for tuning in.